Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another HD review, if you may say. And today we are going to be looking at the IS-7, the Russian tier 10 heavy tank. First of all, big apologies for not making any videos for like a week or something. The 30-hour stream almost killed me and I was literally sick for that entire time. I couldn't speak properly and you might still hear that in my voice today. But anyways, let's talk about the IS-7. Controversially known as overpowered, but this tank has its weaknesses and it is kind of hard to call it overpowered with tanks like the E5 in the game. Anyways, let's start talking about the armor. So you have 150 frontal plate and 270 peak there, and in general, lower plate kind of your go-to zone, even though it's still really powerful, and tier 8 tanks can literally go fuck themselves when they see the IS-7, or just load gold and prove how skilled players they are. Upper plate is pretty damn good in pretty much any angle you can possibly look at. If the IS-7 player is angling, you can try to catch some kind of angles here, but it's still pretty bad. As you can see, everything is around 240, 250, and with some RNG luck you can pen this, but it's rather difficult. And the same goes for these kind of track areas. It's not like the IS-7 doesn't really have any fucking weak spots frontally, so you know, as long as you can pen the lower plate, good for you. If you can't see it, it's pretty much load gold or go fuck yourself, or load gold and go fuck yourself, because the third of the IS-7 can pretty much shit on a lot of the gold. If you shoot gold at this, you should try to aim as close to the bottom as you can, and even then, it might be rather dodgy. When you're face-hugging an IS-7, this opens up as a weak spot if he's aiming high, but you know, that's something they can manipulate as well. If you're in a tall tank like an E100 and face-hugging an IS-7, you can always aim into these cupolas, and it is going to be rather easy for you to pen it. And now the biggest... well, my biggest grind with the IS-7 is this retarded side armor. So you have 150 angled upper part, which, you know, will not give you too much troubles if you see it face on. Then you have this retarded zone, where in real life you have like a tinfoil metal sheet in front of this side armor. In the world of tanks, though, this is 30 millimeters, because, you know, side armor. It's extremely well angled, plus the 30 millimeters of side armor means that you don't want to shoot this in any fucking angle ever, like on most other Russian heavy tanks. And then you have the bottom zone here, which is rather easy to pen, if of course your gun doesn't go potato and just flat out misses it. Any kind of angled side armor, yeah, good luck with that. 600 seems legit, mate, seems legit, so... yeah, that's something you shouldn't even try to go for. And the side of the turret is something you shouldn't try to go for either if you can avoid it, as the turret is pretty retarded from all the angles. And the only place where you can reliably pen it is in the back on the top and in these cupolas, if you can see any of that. And then obviously you go for the tracking shots and stuff like that. Anyways, let's talk a bit about the gun depression. So 6 degrees and 1 to the back, pretty healthy, especially if you compare it to the Chinese heavies. And if you account for the fact that you have absolutely no turret weak spots, that is pretty damn good. Elevation 18, nothing really too special about that. But anyways, let's talk about the rest of this stuff in the game. Here's the game. Arctic region, pretty light tier 10 game, only 4 tier 10s per side, and no Arty, which is absolutely crucial for a tank like an IS-7 to even have a chance to have a good game. But we'll talk about that after we discuss the stats of this vehicle. 2150 health, 400 meter view range, top speed limit forwards 60, backwards 15, power to weight 15.47, tank traverse 28, turret traverse 25. The rain resistance, comparing it to an E5, is worse by quite a huge margin, and the power to weight is also worse than on the E5, which is the tank you kind of need to compare this with after they decided to make the E5 just flat out better than any other tier 10 tank. So far IS-7 looks pretty ridiculous. Has insane frontal armor, probably one of the best overall frontal armors on any tank in the game. It also has the mobility of a borderline medium tank. I mean, sure, it doesn't turn very well and the power to weight isn't that great, but the top speed limit of 60 can take you places on some maps really quickly. If your spawn is on the hill and you want to get somewhere down the hill, you're gonna get there before some of your medium tanks arrive. But the weakness of the IS-7 is this potato cannon, the 130mm Russian fucking S70. So 2147 DPM, that is absolutely terrible. 490 alpha, 250 pen, aim time 3.1, accuracy 0.4. And while it still has the added advantage of being Russian, so you know, fucking potato will guide your shells miraculously half the time, it still is not a gun you really want to snipe with. And the IS-7 isn't really meant for that at all. You want to be up close and personal with this tank. Up close, up and personal, close range, hull down. That's how you need to play this tank. You just try to snipe these cupolas and hope to get lucky. And so far I have, so not too much to complain there. But that all is understandable. That is pretty much the price you pay for having this ridiculous armor and this mobility, is that your gun is rather shitty. Oh, if you look at the E5 in the same way, the E5 has the gun, it has the armor, and it has the mobility, and it has everything. It has absolutely no massive downsides, so the tank is just not balanced at the moment, and that is why I'm not gonna be reviewing it. But IS-7 in that aspect, well, ridiculously idiot proof. I mean, this armor is just retarded most of the time. You can just fucking abuse it to the max, and the problem with it though is that it is kind of, you know, RNG based, so there's not much you can do in order to angle this tank. You just have to hope to get lucky. Like, this is not a great angle. The WZ might actually be able to pen me if he hits me in the road wheel, but I'm taking my chances and I'm just trying to avoid everybody else shooting me. And it's actually a pretty decent tactic in an IS-7. Just find some wreck and just push it for the rest of your life, and that is usually gonna get you quite far in life, so that is definitely something you can try to do. So the equipment choices on the IS-7, rammer, vert stabs, and gun link drive. The 3.1 second aiming time is obviously your biggest weakness, so you want to reduce that as much as you can. If you don't mind the gun handling too much, you can go for vents, but I would not recommend that all that much. And for the cruise skills, I mean, this is a tier 10 vehicle, so you probably have a pretty decent cruise, so you choose all the skills that doesn't suck ass. Like repairs, sixth sense, smooth ride, snapshot, situational awareness, recon, all the, you know, useful skills. When it comes to dealing with IS-7s, I mean, dealing with a good player playing an IS-7 can be extremely frustrating, but the IS-7 is very limited on how effective it can be if you are playing it aggressive. Once you have to expose these tracks, once you have to expose your side, you're kind of fucked and unable to really do much here. I mean, IS-3 isn't really your biggest threat in life, so, you know, it's not really a big deal. And I am kind of out of practice playing the IS-7 as well. I should have just gone for the face hack there, but as I said, I am not really playing the IS-7 all that much in my life, so I always forget to go for the face hack for life kind of play. But here it actually paid off as the Corsair peeked me and I was able to shoot that instead. And here we can see an excellent example of the idiot-proofed Russian heavy tank armor, this time on the IS-3 and not on my IS-7, but you know, ramming for the win here, I guess. Anyways, we pick up that one, and now this is like really shitty position to be in an IS-7. There's really not much you can do here. Facing a Jagdpanzer, I could load gold, but even that is really unreliable to do a lot of damage. E50 and a gorilla there, but I can't even see any of them in the Jagdpanzer. I mean, with gold I can go for the superstructure sights, but with this aiming time, the chances to hit that without aiming too much are not that great. And even though I don't really need to be afraid of the Jagdpanzer penning me, this is not the greatest angle because he's above me. He is gonna get slightly better angles on my tank, and it might be problematic to actually bounce those shots, so I don't actually want to trade there if I don't have to. Now the gorilla is gonna be the problem for the rest of my life as well. But first of all, we'll have to deal with that leopard. Now I went for a yellow shot on that Jagdpanzer, but it wasn't really meant to do much there. Anyways, the leopard is obviously our next target, as he is close to me, and I don't take any risks and don't take any shots for anybody else to deal with him, so that is by far the obvious play here. And in these cases, you just want to fucking go and shoot him. You don't want to let him retreat. I might have exposed myself a bit too much there, but it was more important for me to do that damage than protect my tank from taking any. So, you know, I went for that. And now, I don't want to go for him because it's very possible that the Yakpanzer could shoot me if I peek there. So I'm not going to peek there because the Leopard isn't that big of a deal now, and especially when he is down there, he cannot climb up from that position ever again. So this is actually rather fine for me. I don't really give a shit that he is down there as long as he's not like proxying me or whatever. Now back to the other side, we'll see what is happening with this Yakpanzer E50 Guerrilla combo. Probably not much I can do, and we are going to speed this game up because this is going to be a while. So my position here is pretty much unbeatable, but it's pretty unreasonable to expect to do any damage. That was probably my best chance to ever do damage to anyone in this game. Well, not in this game, but in this position. But bouncing the Guerrilla while just peeking, and the E50 is just chilling there and proxying me, which is really annoying, but there isn't really much I can do about it, and I just need to sit here and chill. But obviously the smart play is just to do nothing. I can try to be a bit more aggressive after the Guerrilla shoots, but even then I only have like 15 seconds of time to do anything, and I still have to worry about the Yakpanzer there as well. So it's definitely not the greatest position to be in, but at the same time it's not like they can actually do anything against me, so I'm just literally chilling here and waiting for my teammates to relocate or get some positions on something. If we kill someone here, or the Yakpanzer preferably, that could lead us to a victory, but as long as the Guerrilla is just chilling and the Yakpanzer as well, there isn't much we can do about this at all. So the E50 finally decides to go full recharge, so I can plant the shot into him and roll 398, which by the way is probably the lowest roll this gun can even ever roll. Maybe it's slightly lower, but it definitely is really close. I'm gonna speed this shit up once again, as once again nothing fucking happens. Really dragged out game, but there isn't really much we can do about it. I could load gold and go for the Yakpanzer, but the problem with that is that once I shoot, the E50 could fuck me, especially now after the Guerrilla actually pens a heat shot into my turret. You can see the shot there, and the E50 again tries to go for it, but he changes his mind in the end anyways. But the good news is that FE finally picked up the Yakpanzer, so we don't have to worry about that, and that's a good chance for me to go and kill that Leopard. Even though he's not very important, it would still be kind of shitty to leave him live, especially if the T-34 goes through the north or something like that. That could backfire pretty badly, so we definitely don't want to go and pick him up, preferably without taking any damage, but it is not that big of a deal if we do take some, so we're just gonna go and deal with that. And we also have this FV to back us up if shit goes down and if the E50 wants to push me. Should have probably already tried to look for this shot, but I was going for more of the other side peak, and I do take the damage, which I didn't really want to, but not really much we can do. And now the E50 is here. The FV missed him absolutely and totally, so we have to do it all on our own again. And this is again like not the greatest peak in history, because I am exposing my tracks. He got really lucky with his shot because I didn't aim mine for shit, and he still managed to just shit on my track like that. And now, as long as I straighten out my hull, and he's not shooting gold, it's not really a lot of chances he has to kill me there. But still, it was rather closer than I wanted to. But let's be real, his first shot was really damn lucky. So was mine, but I was going for it, and I knew that I had, well, I knew that I was trying to take as little risk as possible, and it still didn't really work very well. If I didn't pen the E50 with the first shot, that could have been quite tragic for me. Anyways, now we don't really have a lot of time to waste, and as long as the FV is loaded, I can go and try to spot for him, and that is really all that matters. So we're gonna be pushing now as time is running out, and I definitely don't want the FV to die because he has much greater chances of killing the Guerrilla in one shot. I could load HE here, but this gun is absolute potato, and if I do hit the gun of the Guerrilla, I would be rather sad and cry every time, or if I hit something like tracks and shit. I really just want to do the damage with AP here and not fuck around. And now we're just literally just charging in and pretty much relying on the fact that IS-7 is gonna save me, because I'm gonna be held down wherever I go. But little did we know that the little Guerrilla is not even here and nowhere even near us. So, you know, not really much we can do, and I'm gonna speed this shit up as the Guerrilla gets spotted up north by the T-34. Now there's no way we can really justify chasing the gorilla, and as much as I would want to get Top Gun, there's no point in trying to throw away this game in order to be greedy and get the Top Gun. So I'm just gonna go to the cap and this FV, man. Look how much time he wastes until he drives into the cap circle. This literally could have been the victory or defeat in this game. Is ridiculously terrible driving. So yeah, fucking well done, man. Well done. But luckily for us, it was enough. He died right after the cap. The gorilla was here, but I ran out of hard drive space to capture that. Anyways, let's look at the end plates. And here we go. Ace Tanker, Steel Ball, and High Caliber. Did 5,408 damage and did 1,945 assisted, as well as blocked 5,000 with our armor, which secured us heavy tank 15 if we had it activated, but we of course didn't, so ripping pepperonis. Also picked up 5 kills, 1,263 base experience. Well, not the most impressive game, but this is really kind of what the IS-7 excels at. You kind of are looking for these long stretched out games where you can sit hull down and farm damage blocked by armor as well. And as you can see, the gorilla, even with heat, he only managed to pen 1 out of how many shots, I don't even know. But the IS-7 working pretty much as you'd love it to in that position. We could have done more if I was more willing to load gold against the Yak Panzer, but in the end it works out anyway, so whatever. So, the IS-7, yay or nay? Well, as long as the E5 is in the game in its current stage, there's not much point, is there? I mean, the E5, the only thing that E5 cannot do that the IS-7 can do is bounce heat off the turret all the time. And even then, like, IS-7 can do it for the most part, but not 100% reliably. But the E5 is just flat out better in pretty much any way, every way. And, before they buffed the E5, you could say that the IS line is like the most beginner-friendly, idiot-proof line in the game, but now, with American tanks pretty much being buffed across the board, across any tier, every tier as well, it is kind of hard to recommend the IS-7 as this gun just doesn't stand up to the E5's potential to do damage, and so, you know, while the IS-7 is still pretty damn powerful, it is kind of hard to recommend any other heavy tank but an E5 at the current stage of the game. So yeah, that is my review of the IS-7, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.